Okay, so welcome, Lauren. Could you just tell us a little bit about your business, please?
Yeah, sure. Thanks for having me, everybody. Happy Wednesday, happy hump day, nearly there towards the weekend. So yeah, Transform Lives company. My colleague and I, Tracy, kind of joined forces about 6 years ago because we felt like there was another way to help people who are out of work or not living the kind of healthiest and happiest life that they possibly could be. If you've ever been in that situation, or a friend or a family member has been, they tend to get sent to the job centre. They're not really treated like a human. They get sent on different courses, bit of a sausage factory, as we tend to call it. And we just said, you know what? We wouldn't want anyone that we know to be treated like that. How would we want to be treated? And so we broke the mold a little bit. And our ethos is to always start with kindness. We put the person right at the centre of everything that we do. And so through that, we run employment programmes. So for people who are long-term out of work or who've got multiple barriers facing them to move into work, but also working with people who are at risk of redundancy as well, because, you know, let's face it, getting a job is a game. As long as you know the rules of the game, then, you know, you've got a chance of winning. But if no one's told you what the rules are, and how to find things like hidden jobs and, you know, make your CV not sound like everybody else's, you know, there's little tricks to that. And also, if you've not applied for a job for the last 30 years, you know, it's very different to how it was 30 years ago. So that's kind of our bread and butter. And then hand in glove with that is a lot of wellbeing work. So helping people with resilience, which is usually job search focused as well, because God, it's hard work and a little bit soul destroying. But again, coming back to people who are in work as well, you know, we all know people who've suffered with stress and anxiety and depression in work, and whether that's work related or not, it affects work. So we have workshops and coaching sessions with people to help them to navigate through that process. We've all hit bumps in the road, but not all of us have got the resilience to be able to ride through them. So we're here to help with that. And so it fell very naturally that Kickstart would be something that we would want to do, because myself and Tracy actually met running kind of the first version of this, which was a Labour government thing, Future Jobs Fund, back in 2009-10. Exactly the same thing, creating 6 months jobs for young people. And over there, we created 8,000 jobs in Greater Manchester and filled them with young people. One of my favourite ever projects, absolutely brilliant. We still bump into people now. Like, yeah, my first job was Future Jobs Fund, and look what I'm doing now. And it is so nice to see that. So the more jobs we can create through this, you know, the happier we're going to be.
Okay. So give me a quick overview then. If someone's thinking about employing, what is the Kickstart scheme? How does it help people?
So this is the government's response to the current recession that we're in. It's always young people who are hit hardest. You know, they tend to be in a lot of the service industry jobs. They're kind of last in, first out. And then when it comes to competing for other jobs, you know, they're competing against other people like us who have got experience, they've got qualifications, so they don't stand a chance, which is why these have been ring-fenced to people under 25. Basically, the government is asking employers to create jobs for 6 months. So thinking about, it could be like a short project, it could be some stuff that you've just never got round to, it could be some stuff to take off you, a whole bunch of admin or social media or anything like that. And we kind of say, you know, kind of keep it as a basic job, but be completely amazed for brilliance, because you know, you just don't know who is out there. Same with any job. The government will pay the wages for 25 hours a week at national minimum wage. You're very welcome to pay them more or to give them more hours, but that falls to the employer to pay. But all the national insurance is covered, and all the pension contributions are covered as well. So there's nothing that you're out of pocket there. you can apply for Kickstart yourself as an employer. So they've changed the rules in the last couple of weeks. So you can go straight to DWP and apply to create jobs. But you do then also have to deal with DWP, which is one thing. And then the other is, as it's coming towards the end of the 6 months, so probably from about month 3 really, is working with that individual to make sure that they're going to get another job. So it's doing all that employment afterwards, sure that as many young people as possible actually find work or stay in work as a result of this. And so that's kind of where TLC come in.
Okay, so I didn't realize it was, you could really just do it for 6 months. I thought it was 6 months that led into a full-time job. That was the first thing that I thought. And so what does it cost the employer? Is it completely free, or do they have to pay something up front? Or
it is completely free. With going through a gateway as well. So we're a gateway, which is how it was originally set up. So if you wanted to create less than 30 jobs, you had to use a gateway. Like I said, you don't need to do that anymore. But we get a fee for helping you with that process, helping recruit that young person, and then helping with the job search support and things towards the end. Of that, we keep £1,000. And that pays for support for you and them all the way through the 6 months, any mentoring, any kind of mediation that we might have to do, but helping source training courses and things like that. But then there's also a £500 payment to you as an employer. So that's to cover things like your time, maybe you need another desk or a laptop or PPE or anything like that. So actually there's a little bit more. So it doesn't cost you anything other than really your time to train somebody up, you know, and it will take a little bit of time, same as any new employee that you have. But just with that little caveat, so this might be that person's first ever job, so it might take a little bit longer than you would normally expect, that settling in period.
And does the government pay the wages right from the start, or do you have to claim it back?
Yeah, it's a claiming back process, and we estimate it's going to be kind of about 2 months in arrears. So we haven't actually gone through that process yet, so I can't tell you for definite. But something gets triggered magically with HMRC, she says, and then we get paid. So once it's been triggered with them, I think they've got 5 days to pay us, and then once we get it, we've got 5 days to pay you. So we're just kind of advising people to make sure that they can bankroll kind of 2 months worth of wages before that they would get that money back from us.
Okay.
As soon as we get it, you'll get it.
Right. So then what's the process to apply for this? Let's say, you know, either we're interested in it ourselves or we know people that might be. If someone was interested, what would they need to do? Yeah.
Well, the good news is there isn't any rush, because I know a lot of employers are kind of worried about starting somebody during lockdown. So we've got till next December to do this, but you can put an application in at any time. There's a fairly lengthy application form, but that's just basically so that all the checks can be done really easily by DWP to make sure that your business is safe, that the job's legitimate, that we're not replacing any jobs. And then once it's done and it's in. And you can create that job as many times as you like. So you could do that same job twice in 12 months as well. So yeah, you send that in to us. We do a double check we're happy with everything. We do need to check that you've got 1 year of accounts and that you have people on the payroll. Now that's what the rule is at the moment. You'll find we say that a lot because it's changed a lot since the start. So we're just keeping up all the time, because we are kind of making a bit of an argument for people who are sole traders who, you know, they don't always have themselves on a payroll and they pay themselves differently, but they could still create some brilliant jobs for young people. So kind of watch this space on that one. But yeah, the jobs created with us, fill out the form, we send that to DWP, and then it's a process of about 4 weeks to get that live on their system. Young people apply through their job centre, so they have to go via the job centre. We can help you with all the recruitment, So we did an event yesterday where we brought employers and young people together. We had 50 young people on that call. So the appetite is out there. It's they're raring to go.
Okay. What's the website or your email address if we want to pass that on to somebody?
So it's you have to be careful because there's a couple of Transform Lives out there who do things very differently to us. So we are transform-lives.org.
Yeah.
There is a Kickstart page on there. Or if you email team TLC at transform-lives.org, we can send you all the info to have a look at, because sometimes it's nice to have it written down to absorb. We can send you the forms through, then you can have a look. I'm making them sound worse than they are. I'm doing like the Apple thing, over promise, under deliver. Under promise, over deliver. So when you get them, they're not as bad as what you think. And if it's not for you, it's fine. You know, you won't get tons of marketing stuff off us begging you to come and join us. But if it is, great, and we can start the process. And
is there any restrictions on the type of jobs?
No, so we've got the most brilliant array of jobs at the moment. So we've got some with a forest school, so providing support for that. We've got quite a few in housing associations, so that's right through from maintenance, HR, customer service. We have 2 milliners jobs, 2 trainee milliners, so making hats. We're all like absolutely desperate to get that one. A few social media, a few admin, one with Social Value UK. So that's all sorts, so varied. Quite a lot of kind of like customer facing things as well. When I say customer facing, more over the phone, obviously kind of community based roles as well. We've got a really good relationship with the Baltic Triangle, so we're really targeting that creative sector and SME sector, because we feel that those are the places, one, they're the employers who need help now as well in the recession. So it's not just about helping young people. Small businesses need help right now. But also I think they're the ones that are more likely to turn into full-time jobs at the end as well, more opportunity for growth. So that's why we're trying to target those areas rather than trying to go for like the big, get 30, 40 jobs all in one go off somebody.
Okay, so let's say I was interested in recruiting and it's an admin role. I come to you, fill out the forms. I'm guessing that you would help me with the job description to create the vacancy.
Yeah.
Do you advertise it to find the candidates for it?
Yep, so it gets advertised at the job centre, but we know that we can't just rely on them. You know, they're not working in the same way either. You know, they're not doing any face-to-face work. So just like that Zoom that we did yesterday, we've got links into all the universities, the colleges, networks right across the Northwest where we can promote these to young people to get them interested. By all means, put them on your own websites, your own social medias. We can advertise them where we like, so long as that young person goes back to the job centre to apply. There might be someone that you have in mind for a job. Yeah. You know, that always happens. So long as they go to the job centre and say, I've seen this job and I'm interested.
Okay.
It's up to you who you pick.
And what are the, I'm guessing there's a lot of people of social media or something like that. It's something that you can work remotely at. So can people, do they need to have an office or can they employ people remotely?
Yeah, we've thrown this one around a lot. And myself and Joe were talking about it last week as well. So we've done this before in terms of creating jobs for young people. We've never done it like this. Never done it where we've all been working from home. I've started somebody new to my business during this during the lockdown, but she knew us already. So she knew a lot about the business and how we worked, but still doing that kind of remote induction, not necessarily the easiest thing to do. Some young people, you know, they might not have that place to sit and work as well. Sorry, the dog stole my tissue. Hang on.
These are the joys of working from home now, aren't they?
Not enough peanut butter in the Kong, obviously. Yeah, so internet access and having a bedroom that they might not be sharing with a sibling, all of those things are worth considering. That said,
in theory, they could recruit somebody, even if it's virtually to begin with, until things ease.
Yeah, and maybe thinking about, well, is there a space where you can meet up for a little bit of time in a week as well? Just thinking like, is this their first job? Do they need a little bit more structure and somebody around them? We're all very conscientious and homeworking and what have you, but it might be a different matter for them. For some it'll be absolutely fine, for others it'll be a little bit difficult. So I would always think kind of contingency plans, and even if making sure that you're meeting up at least once a week with that person in some capacity. I was going to say in a coffee shop, but we can't do that yet.
Totally.
Okay. What are the age restrictions on it then?
Yeah, so it's 16 to 24 and 364 days. So long as you hire them before their 25th birthday, that's fine. So they can turn 25 while they're in that job with you. That's fine. But if sadly they're in the process and you don't select and start them before that 25th birthday, then we can't start them.
And do people need to have been out of work for a minimum period or be in any benefits or anything like that?
No, this is like one of the really good things this time is there's no time limit. So they could sign on to Universal Credit tomorrow and get a job on Friday through Kickstart.
Okay.
So yeah, the day one claimants.
Right. So somebody, for argument's sake, they might not, for whatever reason, they might not be on benefits, might not have claimed universal credit. They just need to apply for that in order to apply for this job.
Yeah.
So there is that criteria that they need to be on universal credits.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you have got somebody in mind, and there's a lot of young people who don't want that stigma of signing on and going to the job centre. Some gentle encouragement, and we can help them with that as well. To sign on.
Does anybody else have any questions while we've got Lauren on for this?
Yeah, could I ask a question, please, Lauren? Would you be open to helping somebody that wanted to get back into employment that had been off for a certain point of time because of mental health? Is that something that you'd be qualified in taking on?
Yeah, so we run programmes across Merseyside. For people who are long-term unemployed or struggling with, so they don't even have to be out of work for some of the things that we do, but at the moment they do have to be kind of Merseyside based. But if not, if we can't help them, then I'll know somebody else who can. So by all means, I think you've got my email, Michelle, haven't you? So
I have, yeah.
You can drop me an email and we can help them out.
Yeah. Thank you.
Definitely. We didn't think that working like this online with people who are in that situation would work, but it does. Especially because like they can turn the cameras off and things as well, which, for some of them coming to a room with people is really, really daunting. Whereas if they can just turn the cameras off, sit and listen, but then as they grow in confidence and then they start to join in, and then all of a sudden you see somebody kind of 5 weeks in, it's really rewarding to see.
Okay. Is there a maximum? So I'm guessing most people, if it's the first time you're recruiting somebody, recruiting one is a challenge, but can they take on more than one person in this capacity? So
yeah, so there's like this loose kind of 3-to-1 ratio. So if there's only one of you in your business and you want to take on 5, then the job centre will go, that doesn't look quite right. So like we've had one guy, I think, who like he was on his own and he's applied for 800. Really? So there's just like a little bit of a common sense thing there.
Because you've got to fund, in theory, you've got to fund the first 2 months' wages yourself. So that's a hell of a cost for somebody, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like, did he really understand it? I don't know. But there's been more than one of him, you know, the urban myths go. So like I say, you can kind of have one young person for 6 months and then they finish and then you refill that post. You can do that. But yeah, so it's just kind of, it's being sensible, you know.
Okay. Does anybody else have any questions?
I was going to say, Andrea, I know you've got to leave shortly. Have you got any questions before you have to jump off?
Okay. What we'll do, so we're recording this. We're going to put it on a YouTube channel. We'll email the link out if anybody needs to watch it back, or share it with anybody else, because I think we all might know some people that have got no idea about this. You know, and I've learned something. I thought it was creating a job, not just a 6-month placement, which it is really. I know you can keep people on afterwards, but I think what scares some people is, oh, do I have to commit to this after 6 months? And I've taken young apprentices on in the past with the intention, well, I did keep them on beyond their apprenticeship. And that's a commitment, whereas this is different, isn't it? This is just a 6-month placement that someone's providing. You've got to provide the time and the mentoring and the opportunity, but there's not the same financial risk, I guess, because it's capped at 6 months and then you can replace them.
While you've just got a break, can I just thank you all for your time? I do have to go because I've got a 2:30 mentoring session, but really appreciate your input and knowledge.
Nice to meet you, Andrea.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming, Andrea.
But that was a really important point, Jamie, because there was something I picked up on in one of your messages, I think it was earlier, Lauren, which is that you can create an apprenticeship at the end of this 6-month period. So it's almost like this is an opportunity to try somebody out for free.
Yeah.
And decide whether or not they're going to fit with you, you're going to fit with them, whether they have a natural fit with the type of work, or whether actually turns out they're more of a, you know, they're more of a painter and decorator than a creative, you know, a social media type person. So actually, I think that's a really important point as well, is that this is a real opportunity for people who are thinking that, you know, it's a real try before you buy, even at an apprenticeship level, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. It's just a 6
Helen's,
month.
So Helen's just asked a question in the chat, which, can you re-employ the same person on the programme after 6 months? So effectively having them on the scheme for 12 months.
No, nice try. No, that one's a no.
That's a no. Yeah, I thought it might be. Yeah.
I am the kind of person who will always look for the workaround, but no.
What happens if you do employ somebody for 6 months and they stop turning up or turning in late and that? Do they have to still stay with you for 6 months, or can you say they're not suitable for that placement?
Yeah. And this happens, doesn't it? Whether they're young or over 25, we've all had that nightmare employee who's not been quite the right fit for the business, shall we say. So we would ask that everyone's just that little bit more understanding, I think, at first. They've had a really rough time, as have we all. But in the, you know, the last 12 months have been very difficult for young people. And for them getting back into that routine of work is going to be tough. But the good thing is that you've got us on hand to get them to that place where they're work ready, and to try and iron out any of those niggles that are going to come up in those first few weeks. Now, obviously, you've got policies in terms of, you know, gross misconduct and things like that. So if, you know, if somebody totally steps over the mark, then, you know, get rid. But we would try and work together to keep that young person in the job until it was not viable. And if it's not viable and it's not going to work out, you know, that's square peg and round hole for both you and them. And we don't want to lose you as an employer, because hopefully you'd replace that person with somebody else. But at the same time, we don't want that young person to have a really bad experience and go, well, that's it, work's not for me. So it's about us, it's about being sensible with the situation. You know, I've had young people placed at Greater Manchester Police, and then they've rung me going, like, we've just discovered he's got a cannabis farm in his attic, we think we have to let him go. And I'm like, fair one. like whether he thought he was going to get some insider knowledge or something by working there, I've absolutely no idea. I do have very good tales from the trenches, but yeah, Vicky, it's, you know, we'll do what we can, but if it's not right, it's not right, and you have to let them go.
I think there's a book in there called Tales from the Trenches. There's definitely something in it.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to somebody thinking about applying for this? Do they need to do any preparation themselves, either personally or within their business, just to start thinking? Because if you've this, I guess this is aimed at a lot of people that might never have employed someone before, or for some time. So what would they maybe need to do to prepare?
Yeah, the good news is that we can help you with all of that, from kind of writing the job descriptions and contracts. We can help you with the induction, things like that. If you've never done it before, we've kind of got templates for all of those things. You know, even the interview process, we can help you with all of that. We'll also offer everybody a half-day mentor training session. So you can then kind of figure out where boundaries are. So where are you the boss? Where are you the friend? Where are you the mentor? You know, and where you need to sit and be. Probably the best thing to do is just cast your own mind back to being 16, 18. And who
I
you
can't remember that far back.
You said and done for some of us.
You know, what did you need then? What would have really helped you?
Okay.
There's probably been some employer somewhere that like just made a bit of a difference. Who were they and what was that difference? So kind of casting your mind back to those things. Equally, you know, was there an experience that really put you off, and being really mindful not to repeat that as a thing.
I can identify with that one. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, probably more of us have had more of them than the other one. Yeah. It's a good question, that, Jamie. But,
Okay, so people can apply for this anytime between now and the end of December this year.
Yeah.
So let's say I apply now. Do I need to employ someone before the end of 2021, or is it just to be registered for it?
So you can apply now and plan to recruit for December.
Yeah.
But December's the last recruitment date.
Okay, so you've got to take them on this calendar year. Okay.
At the moment.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
As of February the 2nd, February the 3rd, 2021.
Yeah.
Okay, that's great. So it's a good opportunity for somebody to bring somebody in for a 6-month project that doesn't cost you anything other than you've got to bankroll it for the first 2 months.
Yeah, any time.
If you run a weekly payroll, do you still have to bankroll it for 2 months? Is that how it's done?
Yeah, we get paid monthly.
Okay.
So we then pay you back monthly.
Okay, brilliant. Anybody else got any questions?
No.
Okay, so if it's all right with you guys, I think we've got all your email addresses. We'll email you out a link to, I'll put it on YouTube afterwards, and we'll email you out a link to this. And in that, I'll put Lauren's, me, Joe or Kate will do this. And we'll put Lauren's contact details in. And then if you want to share it with anybody, then it'd be a good thing to do to see if we can help some young people find some opportunities.
Joe, if I send you the kind of the fact sheet,
yeah,
and then you can circulate that to everyone, because I'm quite a visual person. I like to read something. Feel free to share and circulate that.
Perfect. All right. Thank you very much.
Oh, thanks, everybody.
Thank you very much, Lauren.
Thank you, Lauren.
Thank you.
Thanks, Lauren. Thank you.
He almost behaved himself.
He's a Labrador. What do you
Jamie
expect?
or the dog?
I think she meant the dog, but yeah, probably Jamie as well.